A dangerous assumption here that I am on stream. Toby on the ones and twos, are we on the stream? Yeah. We are?
Okay, we didn't see the open
We
out
didn't
here.
see the open run. All I got's graphics up, but that's okay. I don't know if something's froze in. Want a nice frozen margarita? Like frozen or on the rocks?
I like frozen.
Frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some mango or peach.
Ooh.
Love those Georgia peaches in my mom.
I'm usually just a on the rocks guy. There's a restaurant down in St. Johns County sometimes I fall into. And
Oh, is there?
yes.
Oh.
In fact. And
Cool.
I like the frozen ones there. They do a trick. All right. So it's Ross. It's Lou. We're with you at 8 in the p.m. There we are.
It's past Lou's bedtime.
It's happy hour stream. Well,
Yeah.
This is beyond happy hour. We're in prime time stream right
Have you ever
now.
been on here at
Not
8
at
o'clock
8.
with me?
Not at
I saw
8
you were on
p.m.
with Bobby Deskins, Chief down in Tampa this
Yes,
morning at 11.
I did one with Bobby.
I tuned in and I was like, oh, Bobby's in at 11?
The chief in Tampa,
Yes.
who's usually a late night guy. Yeah, he was rocking and rolling, ready to do it early in the morning.
Double Chiefing this morning.
So we're doing it early in the morning with the double chief, and we got a late night first go around with Ross.
Got
So,
Batman and Robin over
I
here.
mean,
Let's do it.
are you okay with being Robin? Robin's pretty cool.
I love Robin.
Robin's awesome.
Yeah.
Robin's awesome.
Black and yellow doesn't look good on me anyways. I'll rock the reds and greens.
Reds and
baby.
greens. Christmas.
Exactly.
Let's take a look at St. Augustine, though. So, the tide is falling on the Matanzas right now, but what a beautiful look. And look how
Yeah.
glassy it is.
Yeah.
Just what a night to get on a boat and just, if you're inland, of course you get a little further offshore now. You do it's offshore fishing. It's bumpy. But on the river, the ICW, you're looking good.
Well, and so we just came back from Fort George Inlet, right? And yeah, the surf itself still rough, but in the inlet on the St. Johns River and stuff, there was a lot of boats, a lot of jet skiers. Like it was not limiting the amount of people who were out there. Now, of course, like the beach wasn't as packed as you would expect on a normal summer day,
Right?
But yeah, still a lot of folks. It really wasn't that windy.
It's gorgeous. It's just a beautiful picture. And you know what? Like on these, several hundred miles out from an edge of a hurricane passing by, this is what you expect. This is what you talk about. Like beautiful little sinking air, beautiful sunset. We're kind of obviously looking east here, so we're kind of getting that reflection off those clouds. But,
and people
beautiful.
forget that. I had someone tell me on my dog and I's morning walk today, like, I'm surprised that we're not getting that much rain.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, the storm's 500 miles to our east.
That's what happens. And even the ones that come closer, you get the day after effect. You get that sinking air and you get some beautiful conditions. Another beautiful look. All right, I'm just kind of doing a little bit of a picture tour. This one more live, more movement happening. Plenty of folks out taking a look, and why not?
Yeah.
What a beautiful night out at Neptune Beach here. Waves 5 to 6 we saw kind of all day steady at the buoys at least. I'm sure there were probably a few bigger swells that came and then bigger wave faces that we saw for some riders and surfers out there. But now we kind of move into a more relaxed. It'll still be big, pretty good surf, in fact, with the west winds as we go through. So, all right, Erin.
Latest 8 p.m. advisory just coming out.
Coming out, still a 2,
Yep.
just barely. I mean, we got to get to 111, and we'd be right there at 3, but it's still forecast maybe to get that 1 or 2 extra miles per hour, maybe 115 as we're parallel with the Outer Banks.
Yeah, look now,
Thursday afternoon.
completely north. No longer northwest.
Yes.
Movement at north.
Yes.
At 14. And I mentioned this last night during the 8 p.m. stream. Once it starts to get picked up by that upper level flow, that jet stream coming across the mid-Atlantic and New England, it's going to take off to the northeast and will be a long and distant memory, hopefully, for many of us.
Exactly. Once it's caught in those steering currents, and it is going to book it as it moves on through. Now, tonight and early tomorrow morning, and maybe through really better part of the day tomorrow, but really overnight tonight, as things are going to pile up on the Outer Banks.
Yeah.
I had a friend send me some video from even Isle Palms, South Carolina, and they had some washing out roads and things like that right along the beaches. So they had some pretty big, even a little bit of a surge there at Isle Palms.
And the storm's probably going to intensify or strengthen at least a little bit just to the east of them, right? They got some very warm waters over the Gulf Stream there. So not a lot of re-strengthening, but certainly we'll see at least a little bit.
And that this kind of your buoy report confirming we've
Yep.
got 5 6, so it's kind of stayed that way. Still have a few of your alerts drawn on. Still that coastal flood advisory. I imagine. I don't know if they'll keep it for another high tide cycle or not. To be honest, with the west winds, I don't think it'll stay put. So really, we're kind of done with it now. In fact, our last high tide around our region, 806. And I believe that was St. Mary's. St. Mary's being, a little bit further inland from the ocean, but still have the sound right there that you take the ferry out to Cumberland Island. But so they're getting their high tide even as we speak. So, and the surf going to be a little bit better as well. I'm showing this just for the warnings. All right. So quickly going to show you, we've already seen the intensity, but you've got the tropical storm warnings, Outer Banks through the mid-Atlantic, and then tropical storm watch for Bermuda. And during the shows, and we were talking, kind of talking about this is, of all the scenarios, you're really kind of looking at the best case. Once this thing got up to Category 5 strength, earlier in its life, and you're watching the column, the curve. There were model runs that had this thing squaring up on Bermuda.
Yeah.
And some that had it, even getting closer to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. When you're talking about best case scenario, splitting the difference between the two, this is kind of it. I mean, there's and not to downplay what they're going to go through in the Outer Banks or Bermuda, but you're talking about the difference between some property damage and life and death. If this major hurricane were to be moving directly over Bermuda, you're going to have loss of life. And same thing with Outer Banks.
And it's kind of crazy to think, from the time it moved north of the Leeward Islands, north of Puerto Rico, Turks and Caicos, Bahamas, never made landfall.
Right.
Not making landfall in the United States, not making landfall in Bermuda, and even Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. It's going to go much further south of them. So, amazingly enough.
There we go. Okay, that's what I wanted to show. It started on the last frame. I wanted to start on the first frame, but it's sunset. It's kind of our last. I wanted to show sunset on the visible. Clearly, sun's gone down over that hurricane, and it's symbolic of it kind of going down on our story for the hurricane as well.
Going down on a Wednesday.
Taking it down on a Wednesday, always a party with Ross. So the winds relaxing as well, things you love to see. There's your satellite, the infrared look with radar, picking up some bands off the Carolinas radars right now. So let's kind of go into what's next.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool with it? All right, your tropical update for the next two things. So we just kind of got the update from the Hurricane Center right before we walked out here that the wave out of the Western Antilles off the Leeward Windward Islands there has been bumped up to the high chance.
I'm calling it like the mid-Atlantic wave.
Yeah.
Not sure if mid-Atlantic is perhaps the correct term, but they haven't given it an invest name yet. Really still just kind of a weak, disorganized area of showers.
And while they have for the one closer to the coast of Africa.
Yes, Invest 99L.
And that does have an invest, which means you're going to get spaghetti model plots, which we're kind of foreshadowing what we're going to see here in just a moment. But not the word concern. The concern is lower for me right now, especially with the one in Mid-Atlantic, that has the red shading, because you can see where they anticipate this developing, kind of riding the ridge, the trough pushing it off as well, that we're going to have this front come through. I mean, so all indication is this is not, if it does develop, 70% chance of a depression, maybe even another named storm, but it's going to move off to the north, it seems.
Yeah, I think the upper level pattern with that with the Bermuda high and the trough that you mentioned, you combine that with, Erin did use up some of the energy.
Sure.
In portions of the northeastern Caribbean. So there's slightly cooler sea surface temperatures, and the overall ocean heat content, especially like north of Puerto Rico, there is almost a bit of a hole there.
There is. Yeah.
So it's also going to be moving into an area where, all things considered and combined, it's just not going to be as favorable or as conducive as what Erin saw.
And the thing is, nothing exists in a vacuum, and with something like Erin, we look at synoptic maps and we look at big picture maps and we talk about ridges and troughs, but these massive hurricanes, massive in scale, impact the synoptics around them. So what Erin can essentially be is a lead blocker. It's creating the hole. I mean, you've got the weakness in the ridge. Erin busting through essentially creates this path of least resistance, again, a term I use all the time, maybe too much, for that low. So I start off with this model comparison for the GFS and the Euro. We're going to watch that mid-Atlantic sort of wave. And what you look for in this particular map, the concentric circles, the bullseye look, tight isobars, meaning a hurricane. So we've got that with Erin. You see that in the top of the map, right? So you would be watching for that as we put this into motion with our low. And you just don't really see it. Maybe the GFS flirts with maybe a tropical depression or storm as we get later in the period, but overall, not seeing any agreement on anything really, if developing or certainly threatening land.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing, right? The track itself is going to keep it far away from us. Perhaps Bermuda gets something, but even if a tropical system develops, more than likely going to be on the lower end, at least initially. Tropical depression, tropical storm perhaps at the most, at least right now. Now, Lou, you're showing us Invest 99L. So this is that secondary tropical wave off the west coast of Africa, the Cape Verde Islands, keeping it pretty far south. Yeah. Kind of just keeping it wedged down. And you notice some of them, some of the plots, they end rather early.
Yeah.
So they don't even maintain.
It's not favorable in the Caribbean. It's just not, you get closer and closer to the Caribbean. I've seen some longer range models that the ones that keep it south and into the Caribbean, maybe doing that whole Yucatan Peninsula trip and reemerging in the Gulf. Maybe as
a long ways
that's
out.
That's a long way
into September. Correct.
We are a long way away from that, and the Canadian outliers are, just leave it at that. Canadian outliers. All right, so let's nice people, lovely syrup. Let's come back to local, shall we? So let's ditch the tropics for a little while. We got 12 minutes or so left of time to spend with you.
Are you trying to? Why are you watching the time so close, Lou? You trying to get out of here?
No, I don't want to go anywhere. I wouldn't spend all night.
It's fine.
If you bring the dog, we have a good time. But we're looking ahead to Thursday, and it is going to be a hot day.
It is.
So you're going to notice that through the afternoon.
That light west wind, baby.
It is going. Yep. So we got exactly the wind's shifting out of the west. As anticipated with Erin moving to the north, and then heat, humidity. We get the west wind, get a little collision with sea breeze activity, and so we could get some pretty good showers and thunderstorms.
Yeah, I think a sneaky amount of storms tomorrow afternoon and evening. We're going to have a lot of dry air still in place initially, but that's quickly going to erode. A lot of Gulf Coast moisture filters its way on in, and then those sea breeze collisions by the late afternoon and early evening. I think there will be very good chances that some of us see some heavy rain and certainly a chance for some thunderstorms, some of which could be on the strong to severe side.
For sure.
Could see a couple of, downbursts, 50 to 60 miles per hour out there. And precipitable water value is also pretty high. So
they'll climb. And earlier today, watching some of the radar statewide out towards the Big Bend and the Panhandle, they were getting hit they had some pretty good thunderstorms, and you just think those dynamics kind of just ride on over to us, which we had drier air in place.
Yeah.
So it was really tough for anything to get going. We saw a few low-level showers trying to, but just nothing to it. All right, so we've gone through Thursday into Friday. Now we got a front approaching. And we're going to have another day of some showers. So I did my best. Ross is the artist for these maps. So I did my best.
Just like a paintbrush, my friend.
Just a lovely.
Have you ever drawn anything or painted anything for real?
No.
I don't claim to be an artist or a painter because I'm not. But my girlfriend and I watched a Bob Ross.
Did you watch a Bob? I was going to say
we watched
the Bob Ross.
Yeah, we put it up on the TV, and it took us about 3 hours. It was a lot of stopping and replaying or going back 10 or 15 seconds.
And how did it turn out?
Beautiful.
Really?
I was honestly impressed.
Was it a mountain with a lake at the base of the mountain, or what?
So yes, there's mountains. There's like shading on the mountains.
Oh.
It's snowy. There's a whole lake. There's a little
lake.
I'm not sure if we did put the cabin in there. That may have been tough. But yeah, we had the foreground trees and the whole shebang. You have to take a picture.
You framed it and
it's
put it
literally
up in the house?
It's in my bedroom.
Did you each do one, or you just did one?
No, we both did one.
Both did your own.
Yeah.
Whose was better, yours or your girlfriend's? Tell me it was you. Just say it.
It was me.
Good.
But I have to say, some of the real skinny pines in the closest foreground, she had to draw. She had to do it, or paint it for me. So I'll give her that. But the rest of it,
it's a happy little cloud. Happy cloud. We're going to make a happy
Some happy
cloud.
squirrels out there as well.
Happy tree, happy squirrel. That's great.
I don't know how we transition from happy squirrels to...
We're doing more art. We're painting again on our long-range forecast, saying goodbye to Erin and saying hello to our front that will come through, and we're going to watch Friday for showers, Saturday, Sunday, certainly talking about maybe a wet weekend.
Yeah, and I'm actually super excited about this front because I think there's a lot to talk about with it that unfortunately with all the tropical discussions we've had, we've not really been able to get into it a lot.
Yeah.
Locally for us, it's going to increase our rain chances Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right?
Yes.
But it's really going to act as the precursor to the bigger front behind it for really the entire like northeastern quadrant or even like Great Lakes region, Ohio River Valley. They're getting a taste of fall.
Yeah.
I
hope I put that. I don't know if I put the Climate Prediction Center map in. I showed it earlier.
Well, even if you look at like, do you have moisture content, like precipitable water?
I don't think I do.
Okay. We're just talking. Well, I'm going to talk about it quick because I'm super excited.
Tell me about it. I listen. Ross usually drives these shows.
Well, so this is the first front. There's going to be another drier one that comes on in behind it, right?
Yeah.
Not only bringing cooler temperatures, but much drier air.
Yeah.
And that dry air will eventually reach us by early next week. So it's not going to be nearly as humid. It's still going to be humid.
Yeah.
It's Florida in August. But your morning lows are going to benefit, right? We're talking about temperatures probably starting off in the low to mid 70s instead of the mid to upper 70s early next week. But for areas north of us, so if you're traveling north at all, college football kicks off August 30th. Mm-hmm. You traveling north, perhaps up to Columbia or anywhere you're going, right?
Be a taste of it.
Yeah. My parents live in central Pennsylvania. I was looking middle of next week, highs in the low 70s.
Are you going to have 50-degree
lows in the low to mid 50s?
Oh, baby.
I mean, that is a true taste of fall. Now, it's probably like a false fall.
Yeah. That will happen here, too.
The pendulum will swing back, and they'll still have plenty of 80-degree days left.
Yeah.
But it really is kind of that first fall-like front that's going to drop in, which typically tropics-wise, they often protect us.
Yeah,
so.
That is a funny. Yeah, the fake fall happens here. It's usually
my rambling is done.
So it's the second, third week of September. We'll get a couple of these morning lows are in the low 60s, and these afternoon highs are in the low 80s, and we'll see a couple of days like that, and then boom, end of the month, 1st of October. You just struggle busing, but it is lovely to have that first little hope. And we say all this with the Thursday chart up, where it's going to be 95 and humid. And I thought about that CPC map. The Climate Prediction Center map is so good, just because it says the words, below average
or below normal.
And one of those rare times, it's good.
Yeah.
To be below average.
Now we're going to be right on the fringe.
On the very edges of it. I have half a mind to go out there and do it, but we only got a few minutes left. But Thursday, Friday, we're still talking about scattered showers and thunderstorms out there. I am noticing sunsets getting a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. We're losing a couple minutes. So 8:01 Thursday, 8 o'clock. Soon we're going to be out of the 8 p.m.s, And now,
does that make it tougher for you in GMJ because the sunrise is also slowly getting later as well? So, by the end of the week, we're almost at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Do you notice it too much or no?
Yeah, you notice the sunrise a little bit later. You do definitely notice it. And then, of course, the time change.
Because that first hour in GMJ, still dark out there,
yeah,
right?
So I always try to show my sunrises, and it gets tougher, as the later it gets. Those 6:30 ones, those when you're getting them that 6:30, 6:45, those early sunrises, it's nice. You get some beautiful shots, but going to be losing that. So we have so a couple of
let's get into this a little bit.
Weather impact alerts. We've taken one back. So we originally had one in for Thursday because of the rip current risk and because maybe dangerous surf. We've decided to take that off for Thursday just because we've hit the peak of it. We hit the peak of it, the worst of it today. Mm-hmm. And really, when we say the worst of it, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
All right. So we were talking to Sea Rescue. Zach was out there reporting, said there were no rescues done for lifeguards, right? So they didn't have to do anything like that. So you look at the experience that was had today, and you think about tomorrow, it's not going to be as bad. So we pulled it back, right? And also it's a school day, it's in the middle of the week, right? So just kind of be safe in the water, but be safe in the water every day, right? I mean, the ocean can be dangerous at any given time.
Yeah.
So, all right. So just keep that in mind. Took it off Thursday, but we have brought it back for Friday and the weekend.
Yeah, especially for Friday Night Football.
Yeah.
Last week was week 0. We did have a couple football games out there. I know First Coast High School and Ribault played. Tomorrow, though, all the teams are going to be out there.
Yep.
And as you had shown on the Futurecast, right, we're going to be watching rain and thunderstorms. So certainly think by the time, school lets out, a lot of kids are probably still hanging around the high schools,
Sure.
right, until, the game starts off. There is going to be rain and thunderstorms around. Warm-ups probably start anytime, between 5:30 and 6 o'clock for a 7 o'clock kickoff.
Yep.
Could see some delayed starts, not only just to, rain, but the lightning risk. That's certainly going to, pose a threat to delay some of them and impact. So because of that, that's why we've got that weather impact alert for your Friday night.
Friday night football, absolutely number one on our mind. So rain gear handy for football. That's what you need. Any outdoor plans? I mean, it's Friday night. A lot of us getting paid on Friday. We're trying to go out, have a good time. Maybe, get a date, hold your girl's hand. But if you do it, just have those.
You got Friday night? You got Friday night plans?
I don't, in fact. I'm probably going to be sleeping. I got to, got to work Saturday, unfortunately.
I'd take you for a nice steak or ribeye or something, or a stack of ribs, but I'll be right here.
Yeah, you be here. You'll be working. You have plans, and I'll be working Saturday. But any of you outdoor plans, just have the rain gear handy. And Ross mentioned the lightning threat. So earlier, 5, 6, right? Maybe pushing that 7 o'clock. But by the time we're into first, second half, maybe more just a little wet. But nonetheless, we have the poncho or the rain jacket. I'm not sure if umbrellas are allowed in high school football stadiums.
I don't think most of them do.
Probably not. But
I do think that's a good point, right? Lightning threat's probably more of an issue earlier.
Yeah.
Rain might linger through the first quarter or so.
Yeah. And with lightning earlier, that could cause a delay too if teams can't warm up appropriately. True. All right, and then Saturday, Sunday is a whole separate weather impact alert, backup plans for outdoor activities, strong storms, heavy rain, potential for some localized flash flooding just because of maybe the consistency of the rain later in the day and the potential for those storms. And
marginal risks for excessive rainfall Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from the Climate or Weather Prediction Center.
There you go. And speaking of the football game, this is our game of the week is not on this page, but we got 1, 2, 3, 5 good ones. Episcopal is right across the River Ross. I don't know if you can at some point in your dinner break sneak over.
Head over. Riverside's not real far away either.
Riverside is not. Yep, you're right. So a couple of good games.
Nice and Ponte Vedra, that's a big game.
Big game.
Panthers and the Sharks,
They
baby.
do not like each other. On the field, of course. Everybody's friends. We all love each other elsewhere.
And I think, is Ed White and Trinity Christian a big game too?
Anytime you're going to Trinity, you're going to be, and Ed White's pretty, Commanders, right? I think they're pretty solid. We need SIPO in here to come crash the party. Clay at Fleming Island. I mean, those are all big games.
Yeah.
Because Clay and Fleming Island get a little rowdy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a cool spot. And, of course, the rain chances will be there. And this is your game
of the week. Sideline 2025.
Sideline 2025. Hashtag team sideline. 7 o'clock kick. Mandarin at Creekside. Mandarin has to come and see the Knights out of my neck of the woods, St. Johns County. Best of luck, Mandarin. Storming Mustangs. See what you can do against my Creekside boys. But should be a great game. Mandarin's always good.
Yeah.
And Creekside hosting. We'll see if they can get a dub there at home. But, watch out for those showers. And then we wrap it up with 7-day forecast, highlighting Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Ross?
And then beyond that, looking to early next week, some lower rain chances. And those morning lows, as I mentioned earlier, down a little bit lower than we've seen the last few weeks.
Low 70s. I'll take it over the 80
months.
that we've seen
really.
several times. All right, Ross, thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you.
good shows this evening. We'll see you tomorrow on GMJ.